Welcome. I'm Mercury Black, and I am clinically insane. Fair warning, tonight's a thunder moon, and I'm halfway through reconstructing myself after a difficult breakdown. So I'm emerging while in the middle of an alchemical process, and I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen tonight. I'm going to start by talking to those of you that aren't listening via the internet. And for anyone else who's listening on the internet, I'll look at the chat shortly. The beginning of this one's going to be weird, and it's not going to be what it usually is. Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in this day of battle. Be our safeguard against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, cast into hell Satan and all the evil spirits that prowl the world seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. And Michael, you know me. I don't carry a sword, and I'm not in battle with anyone. I carry a caduceus, and as such, I claim the rights of a messenger. To cross battlefields in peace. None have any reason to do me harm. Guide me, that I may remain worthy to carry the caduceus and deserve this protection. And when I have not sinned, but am merely a tool insufficient for the task placed before me, cast me not into hell, but burn me in holy flames and hammer me straight. And I will thank you and know that you've done this out of love. Satan, you know me as well. I love you. I am not at war with you. I lovingly invite you to go where you belong. You know your place. I will not trespass upon you when it is not my right. I call upon the entire heavenly army to give me all the protection I have the right to ask for. I love you, Satan. Go where you belong. And God, I will not turn away. I do not fear judgment. Forgive me my sins, but make sure I've learned my lesson. I ask for the full judgment of everything that I have done to be placed upon me. And if I am not in error, and it pleases you to treat me like Job, you may do so unto the end of my days. And so whatever harm comes to me, I shall take as guidance, correction, the improvement of a tool, or that it pleases you to have me suffer and thank you. As always, it's thy will, not mine. Crooks, settlers. Okay, now that that nonsense is out of the way, how's everybody doing? Griswold Grim says, guard your privacy, abide the guidelines. How appropriate. Nice prayer. Thank you, Greg. Grizz points out, if you're just arriving, he said it was starting weird. I did say that. Okay, good morning, two more V's. And hey, Nolan, good to see you. Thanks for coming, everybody. Tarot for self-knowledge. Okay, good. I had no idea what to say next. So thank you to you and two more V's for showing up. Gives me something to say. Anyone who likes Akira the Dawn should check out Two More V's channel. He does great music, and I gotta say, he's a fantastic guy. So if you like Jordan Peterson, if you like Jonathan Pajot, and you like music, check out Two More V's. And Two More V's, can I say what you told me about that Jonathan Pajot song, about who's singing? Because I found that fascinating. Let me know if I can say that or not. And in the meantime, Tarot for Self-Knowledge is now putting out videos. So if you're interested in Tarot for Self-Knowledge is putting up videos on a regular basis now. And as far as I'm aware, still has openings for private sessions. So Tarot for Self-Knowledge, and don't quote me on what the services are here, but I believe that you can get like a single question type reading where you get a video sent to you. I believe you can get a full card reading where it's a video sent to you. And I believe I'm not sure if there's an option to have a live session yet. But both Two More V's and Tarot for Self-Knowledge, I invite you to post in the comments once the video's up. And shit, I can only pin one of you. So whoever posts the comment first gets pinned to the top, so that people here who are interested in those things can find you. All right, welcome, Pat, Tommy. Okay, Two More V's said yes. So fucking, there was a good one. I brought it up to him when we were talking. I said, you know, I liked the Jonathan Pajot. Shit, what's that one called? But he did one with Jonathan Pajot. I think it was the one about like Pentecost. And so he sampled Pajot's music and he did the music and he sampled Pajot's dialogue. Fucking brain's broken. Yeah, I'm sorry, my brain's broken. I'm still putting it back together. Right. So I really liked that one. And when I was talking to him, I found out the choir singing that you hear in the background. I didn't know if he had sampled that from somewhere or what, but that choir singing is fucking Pajot too. Like Two More V's knew that Jonathan Pajot sings in a choir and asked him if he would sing with him to do the backing vocals for the song that is Jonathan Pajot discussing the Pentecost. And I thought that was so fucking cool. And I was already listening to that song, like on a regular, like more than once. I was listening to that song already every now and then. But that made me enjoy it even more. So it's called Icon of Pentecost, Monster in the Door. So I don't know, like what kind of music you guys like, but I liked that one. All right, I'm going to fill everyone in on, I don't know exactly what to say. So I'm just going to start by telling you guys, gals, others, telling everything, how a couple anecdotes of how my time has been since my last live stream. And for those of you who missed it, my last live stream was I cannot go on, because I was at that point that some of us hit now and then when you just can't go on. And like, that's where I used to, you know, you worry about suicide or total psychosis happening. And I've learned that what that is an alchemical process. And that's, you know, God lovingly shaping us with fire and hammers. So I'm trying to participate with the breakdown that's occurred. I told everyone that I was going to have to slow down my work, and I attempted to slow right the fuck down. I slowed down like my actual work. I let some people know it was going to be longer. Everyone knows I'll start booking more private sessions when I can. And I stayed on top of a few things that I needed to. And I set myself time to relax. I really tried to. But it was like the day after I posted that video was it the day after, really? My sense of time's off, so this could be inaccurate. But it seems to me that the day after I posted that video, I was like trying to get shit done so I could just relax. It's like, hey, if I talk to A, B, C, D, E, and F, then I can go have a cold shower, Wim Hof that shit. I can meditate for hours. I'm going to go play with the chipmunks and feed Gwen. And I had all this planned to relax, just like I told everyone I would. And then I'm just about to get in a meeting with someone, and I hear a dog. And I think, no, that is not that dog back in my yard. And so I walked towards the door, and sure enough, it was that dog back in my yard. And so I made a break for it outside. It was just crisis mode because she was barking, and my chipmunks were out there, and she was doing her I'm hunting barking. I had shit in front of the door. Like, Peterson's right. Clean up your fucking house. I had to move all these boxes in front of the door, unbolt the door, and I was already yelling, like, you fucking stop. Throw open the door, and she's in the long grass at that point, and so I can't see. I can hear chipmunks screaming, and she's not stopping when I'm yelling at her to stop, and so I just went roaring towards her, screaming. And as I got out the door, the dog was just shaking her fucking head with a chipmunk screaming. And once I got to where, like, I was 10 feet away from her and that I was going to grab the dog, she just threw the chipmunk, turned, dropped to her belly, and crawled to my feet. And I yelled at her to get off of my farm. And I yelled at her that she knows she doesn't eat the wildlife here. And I yelled at her, and all she would do is cower at my feet. She would not move away from me. And so I had to go and confine her, contact the dog owner, get back to the person. All this while, I've got someone waiting for me. And I'm so worried about how many chipmunks did I lose. Because there's at least 4 chipmunks that I have tame and I've named. And I'm not upset at the dog. I love that dog. And she's supposed to kill wildlife on another farm. I get that a farmer can't have groundhogs in his yard, but that's not. She would be welcome here if she could behave, but she can't. So she knows she's not supposed to be here. And first, someone showed up very quickly to get her for me. And they were great. So it was a situation, and I know all of this had to happen the way it had to happen. I needed to have 3 crisis moments in a row on 3 days, building to the buck moon. I get it. And so I love everyone who participated. I love the dog. Sorry. I love everyone. I'm just explaining how wonderful it's been recently, and like how highly God thinks of me. That he thinks I can handle all of this and still show up to do this live stream. So they pick up the dog, and I run in to talk, do my meeting. The whole time I'm so worried. I just want to go outside and look for bodies and find out if any chipmunks were killed. So I completed the meeting, and I went outside and looked through the grass. I couldn't find a dead one. So I went back inside, and I grabbed a bunch of seed. And even as I was out looking, the birds landed in the yard and were waiting for me to throw seed. They were like watching me look around in the grass. And so it was when I looked up and saw the birds waiting. I was like, okay, fuck, I'll go throw seed out and sit down for a minute and see if anyone comes. And no chipmunks came. So I went and did some things, and then I went to walk the farm and look at the places. Like, I know which direction. I know Scruffy's territory. Like, Chipmunky owns the yard. She's the dominant chipmunk. And so if she's not right around the house, I don't know where to look for her. And I mean, chipmunks run off everywhere, but Chipmunky like actively controls the yard. I didn't see her anywhere. So I was like, fuck. And so I know what territory Scruffy lives on. I know where Scruffy goes when Chipmunky chases her away. And I know a couple of her favorite hangouts around the yard. So I went around and looked for her, and I couldn't find her. And Romeo comes and goes. Like, he's not around for weeks at a time, so I'm honestly not worried about Romeo. I don't know specifically that he was around that day. And yeah, he comes and goes. And Little Monkey, I don't know if she's a yearling or what, but she's young. And I'm assuming it's Chipmunky's little girl, because Little Monkey is allowed to eat in the yard when Scruffy isn't. And Chipmunky has like, she's in a different mood in different days. Sometimes Scruffy's allowed around, sometimes she isn't. But she always lets Little Monkey in the yard. And she only chases Little Monkey away if Little Monkey tries to get too close to me, like gets within 10 feet of me, then Chipmunky will dash her off. So I think that's her own dog. But I don't know Little Monkey's habits yet. I was finally at the point where I was seeing her every day. And I know what direction she goes, but I don't know where else she hangs out. So I went the direction she goes too, and I couldn't find any chipmunks. I was like, fuck. And so I went to a property line and did some of that nonsense I just did. Somewhere that I don't feed the animals. I went somewhere I don't hang out at a property line and did some of that nonsense. And suddenly like, I finished, I turned to start walking back to the house, and Scruffy just came running out of the forest, like out of the tree line. And fuck, is she ever not right? Like, she ran out and stopped right beside my foot. And like, I didn't have seat out or anything. And she just sat there looking around like that. And I was like, oh, and I could see that she was hurt. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to go right over there where it's a little more comfortable. I'm going to sit down. And I had a bag of seed in my pocket in case I found anyone. So I'm like, I'm going to go sit down, give her some seed, and try to help her calm down. And the minute I took one step, she's boom, gone into the tree line. And then as I was walking over, she did the same thing again once, where she ran out to right beside me, and looked around like mad, and ran back into the tree line. So I went and I sat down and I threw out some seed. And she tried to go about collecting seed like she normally does. Like, what the chipmunks do is they pick out their favorite seeds and such, and they fill up their cheeks and they go off and stash it and come back. And it's like she was trying to do that, but she would pick up, usually they're sniffing around, and I look around every now and then, but she would like pick up one seed and then just stop and freak the fuck out. And even when she was eating out of my hand, like where she had her front feet up and was like eating out of my hand, it was one seed at a time and then looking around like mad. And she was in such rough shape. She must have been the one that was in the dog's mouth that was being shaken, because she has teeth marks, like wounds down her lower back, like right above her hind legs. And she has a big fucking teeth like mark right on the top of her head. And then she's got these cuts down her face. But like I could see the way that was either side of the dog's mouth biting down on her. I could see the bite shape on her. Fuck. And so I hung out with her for a while and I slowly kind of walked her back to the yard to show her that the dog was gone. So then at one point, I like right at the border, it's like sometimes when Chipmunky chases Scruffy off, Scruffy's got, I can tell where their truce is. Scruffy's got a couple spots that she'll sit and watch and then wait till Chipmunky's gone to stash. Then she runs out to get seeds. And so I'm like, okay, I'm not going to make her go into the yard and be around the birds or anything. I'm going to put her like a nice big pile right here. So I put her a pile of seed there and I go, okay, I'm going to go into the house now and take care of myself. And I see one of the falcons fly over. Like I'm walking back to the house and I see the falcon go that way. I'm like, for fuck's sakes, I just talked to the falcon about the rodents in the yard. It's allowed to eat mice, not the fucking chipmunks. And I turn around and sure enough, the falcon's perched up on a tree just sitting there staring at Scruffy. And I'm not accusing that falcon of thinking about eating the chipmunk. But I was not comfortable with the way the falcon was looking at that chipmunk. So I went and had a talk with it. And I don't know if I talked about, I'll move on later. I don't know if I talked about it or not, but fucking like it was a week ago, I think, that I settled things with the falcon and it had calmed down. So I'm outside one day and there's like, I don't know, about 3 of the chipmunks around. Gwen's out, the groundhog, like hanging out with me, eating out of my hand. And there's a bunch of birds in the yard. And the falcon's nest over there. And I tell everyone to leave the falcon's nest alone. And I've negotiated the fucking truce here. And the falcon comes over and they can hover, these little falcons. And I don't know what kind they are, but it's weird. They have a pattern, so it looks like eyes in the back of their head. They can do this thing where they hover. And I often see it do it on the borders of the farm. Like it's some sort of territory marking thing, I assume. But usually, I've never seen it do it above like the center of the yard where I hang out. The other day, I'm hanging out with all the animals and the falcon comes up, hovers right above us and starts screaming and everything ran. The birds took off. The groundhog went under my parents' car. The chipmunks scattered. And you know, I had a talking to the falcon and it went and landed, but it landed right at the edge of the yard watching. And all the animals came back out and the falcon did the hover thing again. And I looked up and I was like, no screaming. And it didn't scream that time. And all the animals were kind of watching it. And then they went back to eating. It gave up and it landed. And then the third time it tried that, I just told it that it knew that these were my invited guests, and it hovered for a minute. And the third time, the rest of the animals ignored it. Then it went and flew back to its nest. And the falcon had been behaving since then. But when Scruffy was all injured, the falcon was eyeing was eyeing Scruffy in a way I didn't like. And so it wasn't that long till there's a certain point near sundown where the chipmunks stopped. So I hung out outside until I could tell that Scruffy had gone in for the night. So all that shit happened yesterday. And then today, I got through the few calls and messages that I should do. And I thought, man, I really want to shower and I should try to eat early today and get in some good meditating time. And there's a couple jobs around the house I've been putting off because I've been doing 12 to 16-hour days on the channel. There's a little bit of yard work and such to do. That there was a couple things that I thought, okay, fuck, if I go take care of that shit first, I can shut down for the rest of the day and just prepare for tonight. So I'm like, okay, fuck it. I'll do that. And then I'll take a nice shower. Yeah, I said all that. I get up, go out back, go down to the basement to get something. And as I open the door, I'm like, what the fuck is that water sound? And there's a fucking burst pipe. Water just fucking flooding out. And my brain froze up. I just did not know what the fuck to do. Like, it was just this panic of, okay, I can't handle this. And that wanting to just start smashing shit. Like, oh, this is what we're doing. Okay. Like that pressure to just completely lose it was so strong to start making it worse. And then just something deep just said, you can do this. And so I took a deep breath. And I called my dad. Thank God for my dad. And my dad got over here quick. And he shut the water off and we took a look at things. And so I can flush my toilet, hooray. And the kitchen sink works, hooray. But the shower doesn't work. So an hour ago when I was getting ready for the stream, I had the opportunity to go outside under the full moon and shower with a hose hung in a tree in the backyard. Well, I showered this afternoon once like the crisis was taken care of, and I went and got that stupid work done I said I was going to do. I was filthy, so I showered in the afternoon outside with the hose. But then as I was preparing for the stream tonight, I realized I had to shave and, the symbolism and such. It's like, okay, that's fine. I'll go shave and take a shower. Oh, fuck. And I was like, okay, I'm going to skip shaving. And I'm like, no, you don't skip the symbolism when it gets hard. So I went and shaved. And I took a flashlight and went outside and went down into the basement and hooked up the hose, hung it from a tree out in the back with no yard lights. So thank you to the moon for being up. But I did it. I made it through all three crises. I was here on time. And I haven't given up. And tonight's also a special moon for another reason. I do the full moon at midnight closest to the full moon. So if the full moon's at 11:30 p.m., I do it a half an hour later. But if the full moon's at like 4 a.m., I do it 4 hours before the full moon. Tonight, as far as I'm aware, I cannot remember a night before where the exact moment of the full moon for me was actually going to be during my stream. If it's happened before, I didn't notice. And I think it would surprise me if, no, my brain's broken. I could easily be forgetting. So maybe it's not the first time. But tonight at 12:44 a.m. my time. So we're talking like 20, no, not even 20 minutes. Sorry, brain's broken. But anyway, we're going to experience the moment of the full moon together. And I made it here, but I'm still running on this shitty fucking computer with bad sound that I still barely know how to use. So I'm going to do one of these crappy ass piss breaks where I pause everything and just give you a moment to enjoy your now and to talk to each other in the chat if you want. But I'm sticking this shit out. And I'm going to get this fixed up too. It'll take me time. I don't know. Weeks, months. Even if it takes me years before I can get to this point. This is what I'm aiming at, is eventually, when I got to do this, I'm going to hit some sort of buttons and you're going to get some video. And hopefully, if 2 more V's is, willing to, maybe I'll even have some original music or something to go along with it. So that when I leave, there's something to watch. And that when I'm on, you can see me clearly, you can hear me without the pops and whistles. But I'll see what I can do about getting some original music and taking things to the next level because of all you fine folks who are volunteering. But the me that's been doing this shit up until now, I know I have to pee. I'll go in a minute. I think it's already clear that the Mercury who did the first couple months on the channel is not the Mercury that did the past few months. Yes, I explained that I had a breakdown at the end of the winter that forced me to Phoenix hard. And I'm used to Phoenixing every year anyway. And I came out as something different. And that's something different because before I couldn't do an audience session alone. I couldn't, there's tons of things I couldn't do. And after the breakdown that I was blessed with in February or whatever, I came out as something that was able to do a lot fucking more than I knew I could do. But that's also not enough. You deserve better. So while I usually only, on a calm year, I only Phoenix once a year with the cycle of the forest god. But every now and then I have to Phoenix an extra time. And you guys matter too much. So I'm partway through putting myself together again. And the last version of me was not ready to move forward. I'm trying to find ways to, upgrade so I'm playing good videos when I walk away and shit. I wasn't ready to even try that shit yet. I'm hoping that what I put back together out of these pieces is able to start working on that. And if not able immediately to just start doing it, like learning how to do things. Well, one thing is this computer I can't do shit with. I can't even screen share on a Zoom call. It freezes my system up. But I'm going to work towards getting something that will allow me to do that. And I'm optimistic that the next version of me will be capable of taking on the task of learning how to use the computer. And I'm blessed with amazing support of people willing to walk me through it and patiently too. Because it's not easy to teach me something like that. But this is the beginning of something wonderful. Or this is the beginning of me crashing and burning, but if I crash and burn aiming at something wonderful, I'm going to put on a good show. Nice big fire in the middle of the night's beautiful. And I'll try not to burn anyone else. I'll just give everyone else a show. And the team, by the way, sorting myself out in Lunatic Live are in a way two different things. Sorting myself out is not just me. Sorting myself out is me in one sense. I'm the president. It's my company. But on the other hand, my team of volunteers are not beneath me. They're all at the table. Well, okay, for the sake of an organizational system. But for the sake, other than that, we're equals as human beings. We're just agreeing on these roles because we're trying to play a game here together. And when I am on as sorting myself out, when it doesn't say lunatic at the beginning, that's me representing the whole tribe. And I will take, feedback and everything, and I'm going to do my best to make everyone proud. But if it starts with lunatic, if it says Lunatic Live or Lunatic Patrol, that's just me now. The rest of the team is not responsible for anything that I do on a Lunatic Live. They're assisting me in giving me feedback on things like interviews with experts, audience guest sessions, edited videos. So those things, some members of the team get a chance to give feedback, depending who's working on me with a project. But never assume that something I do on a Lunatic Live has been approved of by anyone. Now, I will listen to the team if they don't like something I did, but I'm just pointing out, they're not expected to give feedback on this, and I don't consult with them on my Lunatic Lives. Well, I do sometimes, but it's not the way it's going to be with everything else. Because like with everything else, I'm holding myself publicly responsible to the team. With podcasts moving forward and all of that shit, anything that's got the sorting myself out logo on it. Except the ends of these streams will have the logo to kick you. You get I think everyone gets what I mean. It has Lunatic scrawled across it. That does not necessarily represent the opinions of the Sorting Myself Out tribe. These are the opinions of Mercury Black alone. There, now that I loaded up some more water on top, this piss shouldn't take long. I will see you all shortly. Enjoy your moment of now. And I will be back before the moment of the full moon. We have 8 minutes. All right, let's see if there's anything interesting people have said. However, yes, some feedback I have gotten, and I'm not going to reveal who. Maybe it was the team, maybe it was an audience member, who knows. But some feedback I've gotten that I'm going to work on my live streams, on my Lunatic shit, is I get too focused on the people who are here. And I make small talk on shit that isn't interesting for people later. The other thing apparently I do, which I didn't realize until someone told me, because I don't watch my own stuff. But the minute they told me, just all these instances of it popped in my head, and I was like, holy fuck, I have been doing that. Up until now, if someone writes something in the chat that I don't understand, I read what I don't understand. I take the time to do that first. Then I say, I don't understand. And then sometimes I sit and try to figure it out. That's fucking boring for everyone. I didn't realize I was doing that in a way. It's like I was doing it, so I guess I realized I did not think of what that sounds like. That was just like my natural reaction to seeing something I don't understand, is to read it and think on it. But that's fucking boring. And so I'm going to try to stop doing that. Hey, Dust to Dust, I see you're here. Also, we should do and yes, that was me talking to my bladder. At one point when I said, yes, I'll go pee in a minute. Hey, Grizz, is that, well, no, fuck it, because I'm shouting out Two More V's again, so this isn't stupid. Grizz, is that link Two More V's song? If so, Two More V's says, haha, yes, that one. So I love that song. And I'm not saying that because Two More V's showed up. Two More V's showed up because I love that song, and me and him are getting to be good buds. Hi, Adela, I love you. Yeah, you're just on time, Daryl, for self-knowledge points out. Okay, occasionally I'm going to read some inside jokes. I'm sorry. I'm going to try to balance being authentic and doing this in a way that I can actually do, with also trying to improve a few things gradually. And maybe, little by little, I'll get less pathetic. Oh, okay. And two more V says, I really hope they're just hiding. So I didn't give the follow-up on the chipmunks. Today, Scruffy was not around anywhere. Although, obviously, I didn't have a lot of time to look for Scruffy today. But I didn't see Scruffy today. I took some time looking around. And so I really hope it's because she could walk yesterday fine. She had all these like gouges in her, but it seemed like her bones were fine. She could move her tail normally. Her back seemed fine, and all of her legs seemed fine. So I'm just hoping it's like those bite marks didn't get infected, or that she doesn't have some sort of internal bleeding or something I couldn't see, and that Scruffy's not dying somewhere slowly. I didn't see her today, but I did see Chipmunky today. And now Chipmunky's not as traumatized as Scruffy, but Chipmunky's also acting fucking weird. And she's just got this one fang mark in just one shoulder. I didn't see any other bite mark on her. So she just had this one mark in her shoulder. So that dog got its mouth on more than one. And so I'm hoping Little Monkey's alive, but I haven't seen Little Monkey yet. And Chipmunky's seems fine, except like she's got this one mark, but it doesn't even seem. But like other than that, she's not all constantly panicked, but she's skittish and she's weird. So I hope Little Monkey's just hiding. Also, I hope the baby groundhogs are just hid away somewhere, because Gwen had to move out from under my porch because that dog tried to dig into that den twice. So Gwen finally moved because she had babies in there. And I really wanted to play with the babies again. They're adorable. And she let me play with the babies, which is like an honor. So she moved them somewhere, I hope, or her babies are dead and she moved. But I don't think that's it. I think she just moved the babies somewhere, and I don't know where she moved them. It was a while before I saw Gwen at all after she finally moved, and I thought maybe she was like right out of here, because if a dog's going to keep coming around. But she started coming in up into the yard, and I can tell what direction she comes from now. And in fact, I might know where the babies are, but if they are, it's all the way down. I've got to like cross the creek, walk down the edge of that field to where the other creek joins Black Creek. And then I did see a group of groundhogs on the other side of that after Gwen moved the babies. But I remember thinking, like, she didn't really move the babies that far. And I didn't feel like jumping the creek and going over, climbing a fence. It was fucking hot. So I didn't go over to check, but that just occurred to me. I'd forgotten about that. But those seemed bigger than the babies anyway. But maybe that was just a trick of the eye, because they also seemed bigger, that group. But anyway, Gwen comes back up in the yard now, but I'm not sure where she's coming from. So she comes up and hangs out and eats out of my hand and lets me pet her, but I haven't seen the babies yet. Okay, Patty wants to rewatch Rescue Rangers, and I don't know what the fuck that is, but it made me think of something to talk about that I think is interesting. So you can write later what Rescue Rangers is, and if that makes me think of something interesting, I'll talk about it. But that does throw out there, as soon as I'm pulled back together here, I want to get back to doing some Lunatic patrols again. And for anyone who's new, Lunatic patrol means I'm just posting an announcement that we're doing a Zoom party. And we often watch something at the beginning and then hang out and talk for hours. So two things. One, Shane told me Doom Patrol started again, which I didn't know. And a couple other people asked me if we can keep watching Doom Patrol. So yes, since multiple people want to keep watching Doom Patrol together, we will. We'll get on that soon. But the other is, Gloff has never seen Watchmen. And who else has never seen Watchmen? Someone else just told me that, like a day apart. And so I want to hold a Watchmen party one night where I know that one's a long movie, but fuck it, these Lunatic Patrols last 7 hours sometimes anyway. But I do want to watch a Watchmen one, but I want to see, and I'm forgetting who the second person is. So if the second person who talked to me about having not seen Watchmen sees this, write in and remind me. Because what I want to do is schedule the Lunatic Patrol where we watch Watchmen when the two people who haven't seen it can actually be there. Because they both said they'd be interested in watching it with the group. So those are things to look forward to once I put myself back together. Which hopefully won't take long. In fact, I'm surprised how well I'm doing this tonight. Oh, maybe I'm saying that too soon. Maybe I should see what the comments are further down. But anyway, I thought this would go more chaotically than it appears to be. So maybe I'll be just fine in the morning. But anyway, whenever I'm fine, like ready to get going again, I'll post something on the channel to let everyone know I'm booking private sessions again. I'm going to do that instead of trying to go through old like all the lists of people who have messaged me to see who was it who said I'll talk to you next month and who's expecting something recent. So I'm going to kind of just do a like, hey guys, sorry about this. I'm doing my best here. But I think like when I'm ready to start doing private sessions again, I'm going to post a video and let people write to me. That would just make it easier to get going again than to try to go right to other people. And then obviously, as soon as I'm ready to do a Lunatic Patrol, and this is one thing I could use feedback from the community on. Sometimes I don't know if a Lunatic Patrol is going to be like, because it's spontaneous sometimes. Grizz or Shane says to me, hey man, want to do one tonight? Or so sometimes the notice has to be just that day. But other times we say like, okay, let's do it, Friday for sure. And in those cases, I'm not sure what to do. Is it like, do I post the announcement ahead of time so people know? But then it's like it's way back, and don't people then forget about it by Friday? And it's like the actual like announcement of it is where I post the Zoom link publicly for everyone. So if people can give me that feedback later, if I know ahead of time, do I post the announcement early, or is it best to post the announcement the day of so that everyone sees it and knows that Zoom link's there? But also the same as with Joe Rogan, like where he knows some of his audience doesn't give a shit about the MMA stuff. So he writes MMA. That's why Lunatic Live is clearly labeled. And Lunatic Live is this. It's me. If it says Lunatic Live, I'm going to talk live for a while. If it says Lunatic Patrol, that's what I'm calling the people who show up to my events, and the people who support me and the people who consider themselves part of my tribe are the Lunatic Patrol. That's like the inner circle of friends and supporters and people who want to be a part of a Lunatic Patrol. The Lunatic Patrol is all of us. Lunatic Live is me. Lunatic Patrol is everyone who shows up to the parties. And sometimes a Lunatic Patrol announcement will just be the announcement for the night. And sometimes I'll make the announcement and then it kind of turns into a Lunatic Live where I'll talk for a while. And we decided I'll take them down after the party if they're under 20 minutes. If I haven't been on for at least 20 minutes, because the first 5 might be talking about what movie we're watching, I'll pull it down after. But if I go on to do a Lunatic Patrol, I make the announcement, people comment things, and I just start rambling, and it goes over 20 minutes, so there's actual content there, then I'll leave it up. And if you're not interested about hearing about the party, just jump ahead. Or maybe I could learn to improve, and I can put the timestamp in the description after, like, hey, skip ahead, hit this timestamp. I think Tarot for Self-Knowledge does that on their videos, where it says, if you want this, jump to this. So maybe Tarot for Self-Knowledge will teach me how to do that. Or if part of the team, wants to help with that, maybe we could start doing that for the lunatic patrols. That's just to make everything really clear about the categories of things so that new viewers know what's what. Lunatic Live is me rambling. Lunatic Patrol is an invite to a party. Anything with sorting myself out is the team working together. Wait, let me just read our mission statement. Because I don't know how much people are wanting credit for shit right now. I don't want to embarrass people, but I also don't want to leave people out. People give me feedback who wants public shout outs or not. But somebody awesome other than me said to me, dude, a company needs a simple mission statement. And I was like, I don't know how the fuck to write a good mission statement. Like, don't ask me to do something human beings do. I'm here for fucking lunatic magic and nonsense. And so they were like, all right, I got you, man. And so we now have an official mission statement, which we're still seeking feedback on and seeing if we can improve. But for now, this is the official mission statement of sorting myself out. To promote the physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional well-being of all humans everywhere through open and honest, radical dialogue from their peers and people of all spiritual and religious backgrounds through a process called self-narrativization. Okay, there's our mission statement. Also, even though we're on a Lunatic Live right now, I'll explain a little bit more about how sorting myself out works. We've got a team of volunteers who have stepped up like soldiers. Like, they stepped up and sat down at the table. I'm just holding the gavel because that's the way this worked out. I didn't want it. But the soldiers who have stepped up to the table are official members of the company sorting myself out, which we might be putting together as a not-for-profit. Again, wonderful volunteers looking to help me get the stuff set up that I shouldn't be anywhere near. There should be, anyway, not to ramble about that. So, we're going to make it a proper company, and nobody's getting paid. The money that's being volunteered right now, we will be 100% transparent with everything. We will let you know how many donations come in. I don't know who the transparency's with. My financial advisor was telling me something. So wait, I may not understand right. But anyway, the point is nobody on the team is being paid right now. Even the fucking professionals who are doing a job for me that is a job they get paid for are not getting paid. I have never taken a penny from sorting myself out. In fact, I paid a little bit of money to pay for Zoom meetings and stuff. So I put money into sorting myself out, a very small amount. I've never taken any money out. Nobody who's on the team right now has ever gotten paid any money from the channel. We did have an anonymous donation. I know that one wants to be anonymous of $300 to kick off, the transformation. So we've got that to work with. And we're going to be using that for things like paying for the Zoom accounts. I don't know what we're going to need. The human beings will tell me what we need. Software, equipment, fucking, I don't know. And just for full transparency, I live on disability. So this is funded by both partially the Canadian government, my activity, and partially by the Quebec government. So I'm on permanent disability because I'm clinically insane. I'm bipolar type 1 with psychotic features. And until the company can get to the point, like for now, all money coming into the company is going to be used to build the company. And the goal of the company is that mission statement, to make the world better in whatever way I just said. We'll be open about all our plans of what we're aiming to do. And I've got a variety of plans that are aiming for the highest star. And they sound like ridiculous pie in the sky shit. But fuck it, aim for the highest star. But also know, everyone, if I aim really high and this crashes and I get canceled and I embarrass myself or whatever happens, that's okay. As long as I don't get corrupted morally, it doesn't matter what the outcome of this is for me. I want whatever is good to happen. And if the middle road happens, in fact, if what the middle road is that I literally live off of this disability for the rest of my life and draw a salary of $200 a month from sorting myself out, because I'm allowed to make $200 a month on disability. And so if sorting myself out got built up big enough that it could pay me $200 a month salary, and that's what donators wanted us to do, or, that's what everyone voted, and I could get 200 a month, that would be like, wow. But even if it's not that, if all of the money that comes into the channel goes out to do work for the channel, and I'm just living off of disability, I will do this for as long as you're here. As long as people want my help and I'm able. And I mean, I don't know that something in the future won't crush me and I can't get out of that phoenixing. If I am able to and people still want my help, I will keep going with this channel no matter what, even if I never make a penny off of it. However, if I could make an extra $200 a month, that would make life a little easier. Getting wood in the woodshed, and there's other things that I kind of have to do, because when you're poor, you spend a lot of time duct taping things together, and you know what I mean. Fix, like the way my pipes exploded in the basement today. And I'm gonna wait a few days because I don't know how long till my dad's got time to come over and do that for me, because he's busting his ass and he really shouldn't be working anymore. So anyway, it's like, the channel could pay me $200 a month. I could probably do a better job on the channel. But if the channel can never pay me anything, I'll stick it out. And I'll do the best I can with the resources I can. However, if the company can turn into something big, and it grows, and the company wants to pay me a proper salary, and I don't need a lot of money. But again, we all know, anyone who's heard, I don't know, I'll talk about it tonight, but if the universe wants me to have that retreat, and by whatever means I have a retreat, a home, and that's paid for, it's like I don't owe money. I've got the house I can die in. I've got my little cabins in the forest, and I don't owe any money. Then I think at that point I could just go off of disability, because I could live fairly cheaply, especially once I don't have rent at all. I know I have the house I can die in. And I'm pretty sure I could bring in the operating budget for my living and for maintaining the retreat off of the retreat. I'm pretty sure I could do that. But anyway, if it gets big, I'll do my best to do the best I can with it. If it crashes and burns, I'll try to crash and burn spectacularly. And I won't be mad at anyone. I'll say thank you for the opportunity to be of service in this manner. I hope we all learned something from that and are more evolved now. Oh, I love you too, Beth. Okay, I'm not going to read something I don't know what it means. Hey, I rambled right through the actual moment of the full moon. Grizz is pointing out there's a partial eclipse right now, y'all, in North AM. See if you can see it during the break. The moon will imperceptibly dim as it passes through the Earth's southern penumbral shadow, imperceptibly. Well, I hope you got your cognitive closure on the pee break. So am I really far behind? I'm going to jump to the bottom and see. Then move upwards. Hey, Shane. Shane wants to know what he missed. Other people can fill him in. Because that's another thing that's stupid for me to do, is to start telling people what they missed, because more people watch it later and don't want to hear the beginning again. Oh, Gang Grizz is pointing out not to be confused with that new HBO TV show Watchmen. Yeah, that wasn't what I was talking about watching. I was talking about watching the what's his name? David Snyder? Is that who directed it? Watchmen, which I agree with the criticism of it. It's it does not live up to the book. Also, I think Alan Moore's wishes that it not be made into a movie should have been respected. That being said, I enjoy the movie. I love seeing those characters brought to life. I love seeing the parts of it that capture some of the comic. But it's like, even though I enjoy it, and like obviously I do, I've got the toy from the movie here. This isn't the toy from the comic book. This is the toy from the movie. I love the movie even though it's inferior to the graphic novel, like just leaps and bounds. But I love the characters that much. And even though I love the movie, and I'm glad it's like from a personal perspective, I'm really glad the movie exists. Because I enjoy it. But I would really much rather we had respected, but like if my choice was, do we get the movie or do we respect Alan Moore's wishes? I would have respected Alan Moore's wishes and not made the movie. And I also know Alan Moore does not want to talk about Watchmen anymore whatsoever, in interviews and such. And I find that like a heartbreaking story. Fuck it, I guess I'm talking about Watchmen for a while. I mean, not as heartbreaking as listening to Georgia Lee by Tom Waits. But I guess I have like a profound amount of respect for Alan Moore and feel a very tender love to him. But when Alan Moore wrote Watchmen, they had this deal where DC got to publish it, but then as soon as it was no longer in print, the rights reverted to Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons. I hope it's Dave Gibbons, and I'm not disrespecting the artist. And so, because my sister for Christmas bought me a biography on Alan Moore, is how I know all this. Thank you, sister. I love you. I really enjoyed the book, although it got too much into like details about the comic book industry that weren't interesting. But then there was the shit that really was, like this. So Alan Moore makes a deal with DC because, you know, he's won awards and they're fucking kissing his ass to get him on board. And the deal with Watchmen was DC publishes it. And when it goes out of print, the rights to it revert completely to Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons. And the series was so successful that they immediately made it available as a graphic novel, like the complete bound novel. So it first came out as, I think, 12 issues. Maybe I'm wrong on the number. And then the graphic novel sold so well, they just never took it out of print. So Alan Moore never got his comic book back. Now, as long as they're printing it and publishing it, he's owed his royalties. But he was supposed to get royalties on everything they do with it, and then the rights were supposed to be reversed to him when it went out of print, which I don't know if before that a comic book had ever not gone out of print. After that, and like, thanks a lot, DC, because Alan Moore wrote the best shit I've ever read in your company. And if you'd just been square with him, he would have kept working at a company that had excellent distribution so that his work was getting all over the place. But you fucked him over more than once. You pulled that shit. And that's why Alan Moore disappeared from the mainstream. It's because he finally realized I cannot trust a major company. And Alan Moore's work has only gotten better. So, for instance, the shit DC still owns. Like, do they own V for Vendetta right now? They've got Watchmen. They own the entire Swamp Thing series he wrote. What else does DC own of his? I don't know, but anyway. And Alan Moore also made it very clear to everyone that his art was important to him and that he was trying to write stories at one point that were specifically meant to be only a comic book. He said that while obviously understanding film technique, framing and, devices used in movies is useful because some of that applies to comic books. There are things you can do with a comic book that you can't do with a novel, a poem, a song, a TV show, or a movie. One of the really fascinating things about a comic book is that it's really obvious to everybody that the past is still there and that you can play with the fact that you can still see this panel when you're reading this panel. And there's ways you can overlap the artwork, the dialogue, and the layout of the actual comic book. Like, one issue of Watchmen, like, mirrors in a way that you can see the boat. It's like, fuck, I don't know how to explain that one right now. I'm too broken-headed. But it's interesting. One issue mirrors. Like at the staple, where it would have been stapled. There's a mirror effect on either side. He does fascinating things, specifically designed for that medium. And he didn't want it corrupted into movies anymore. I don't know which movies he approved of, if any. But that's also why Watchmen got canceled so many times. DC's been trying to make a fucking Watchmen movie forever. And Terry Gilliam, like that really fucking cool guy from Monty Python who went on to do, like, did he do 12 Monkeys and whatever else Terry Gilliam did that was awesome. He got hired to do a version of The Watchmen. And fuck, that one would have been weird because the studio wanted Arnold Schwarzenegger to play Dr. Manhattan, and it was just going to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger in like blue body paint back then, because we're talking way back. And Terry Gilliam's working on the script and then, working with the company and everything, and the company sets up a meeting between him and Alan Moore. And so Terry shows up and says to Alan, starts telling him his ideas for the movie and says, "What do you think?" And Alan said, "I think you shouldn't make the movie." And DC never told him that Alan was against it. And when Alan explained why, Terry was a good fucking guy. He said, "Okay, I won't make this." But eventually, it's weird because I like that it's there, but I wish we hadn't disrespected Alan Moore, because for all the faults of David Snyder's version, if that's the director, like changing it to where Dr. Manhattan's the threat instead of that alien, cutting out all that plot. You cut out so much. But you did other things so well. But anyway, so I have mixed feelings on the Watchmen movie. But Alan Moore, oh, yeah, so here's the heartbreaking thing is that, like, because he was trying to stand on principles and other people had no problem with the dollar signs. Alan says he doesn't own a copy of it anymore. He doesn't want to be reminded of Watchmen because he says the lesson he learned from Watchmen is friendship is more important than any project you're working on. He said when you get caught up in the album, in the film, in the comic book, you lose sight of what's really important. And that he's realized the most valuable thing is human relationship. And so he can't think about Watchmen without it hurting his feelings. However, he said he's glad that it's out there for the people who enjoy it. And so he's given me approval. Like, fuck if, not me specifically, obviously. I didn't mean it that way. But we have Alan's approval to love the graphic novel. And if the movie brings us some joy, good. He's glad it's at least bringing people joy, even if it pisses him the fuck off. And I know Alan would point out how juvenile my toy collection is. That he says it's time for us all to grow up. But it's part of my spiritual practice to take very, very good care of my inner child. And in other ways, I man up. So I collect the toys. But if I ever get the chance to meet Alan Moore, I'm not bringing up a fucking thing from before when he said fuck you to Hollywood. And the other thing is Alan Moore is a man of his principles. He said, I don't want you making movies of any of my comic books. If you make a movie of my comic book, take my name off of it, give my royalties to the artist. So you'll notice it doesn't say Alan Moore's Watchmen, and that's what they wanted it to say. And they offered him a ton of fucking money to just approve the movie and to let his name be on it. And he said, no, take my name off it. The money you owed me, you give to Dave Gibbons. And so he gave all his money to the artist. And he said, within 3 months after, like, declaring that he wants no more. Okay, so first he declared, I want no more movies made of my work. If you insist on doing it, remove my name and give my pay to the artist. He said after he declared that, 3 in a row, and I forget if it was like over the next 3 months, it was League of Extraordinary Gentlemen got made and offered him a big check. And he was like, this is harder than I thought. He went, okay, no, take my name off it and give the money to the artist. And he was like, next was V for Vendetta. He's like, for fuck's sakes. Take my name off it. Give the money to the artist. And then the one that's got to have hurt the most was Watchmen. And they offered him a lot for that one because his endorsement would have mattered. It was worth a fortune if you could have gotten Alan Moore to endorse that. And especially if you could have gotten him to do a publicity tour. And he said that one hurt hard, that pile of money. He said, no, take my name off it. Give the money to Dave Gibbons. And so I have profound respect for that man. And because we're such fucking dicks to each other, and we still haven't learned that the zero-sum game is bullshit, we still haven't moved on to the next way of thinking, we're treating our best artists that way. And look what happened. He pulled back from every major company because he can't trust them. Put out his own little fuck, what's it called? I'm blanking on what. And I don't know if he owned it or he put it together, but put out his own little comic publisher or worked with, small publishers. So Promethea is fucking mind-blowingly brilliant. It should be in every chapters, just like Watchmen. But it's not, because he can't trust big companies anymore. And Jerusalem is a masterpiece, and that's not a graphic novel, that's a novel. And it's like, I think 1,300 pages. And it took him over a decade to write that. Like, Jerusalem to Alan Moore is like Maps of Meaning to Jordan Peterson. Didn't that take him like 10 years and he rewrote every line 50 times? And I have yet to say to someone, have you read Jerusalem? And they've said yes. On the other hand, I'm happy to say my involvement, getting more active in the world, a few copies of Jerusalem sold beyond my recommendation. And some people have read it because I go on and on about it. But Alan Moore's best work is sitting in specialty bookshops and isn't being properly promoted because he's not willing to suck a corporate dick and he stands by his morals. What the fuck got me ranting about that? Although also, that was the other feedback I got, was that all that nonsense I talked earlier that I do with the chat, I do that shit and then don't apologize for it. But when I get on a big rant and suddenly realize I've been ranting and I don't know what it came from, my thought goes back to the audience and I think, sorry for ranting there. But the feedback I get is your rants are the best part. Rant all you want. Oh, okay, it came from the HBO Watchmen thing. Okay, yes. And as much as I love the characters of Watchmen, and I'm glad that the movie exists, I am not glad that television show exists. While it had its moments, Looking Glass was a fascinating character. Well, also, first of all, respect Alan Moore's fucking desires. There's a whole bunch of graphic novels that are prequels published that he said not to fucking write. Why'd you write all that fucking shit? He said, don't write anything more about my characters. Write better characters. What's wrong with you? You're making a movie, write a movie. Write a story that fits your movie style. Write something original. Stop just remaking every comic book and turning every book into a movie. But don't turn it into an HBO show. And then make it that weird mix, because Looking Glass was fascinating. And there were a couple other things that were very interesting concepts. Like the idea of keeping up the squid rain being part of what needs to go on. But Dr. Manhattan looked horrible. That looked like an adult video version of Watchmen, where they just took some dude and put crappy blue body paint all over him. So I love the character. Even if you're gonna, not do it perfect, if you can do it good enough that the characters look good, then hey, maybe that's forgivable. But carrying it on and butchering it and turning Rorschach's mask into a symbol for racism. And I get Rorschach was a bit of a but that's not what Rorschach was about. Rorschach was about the black and white of good and evil. And yes, he was alt-right. But don't turn the mask into that nonsense. Hey, Grizz says we get fancy robes. Who? Just Shane? Or everyone gets fancy robes. Oh, and now you're replacing Shane. First you give him a robe, and then you replaced him with a belly dancer prophet. Okay, this one I don't understand, but it's because I don't know what one word means. And so maybe you'll answer later. Kinesthesia is the wave of the future. Although also I'm fucking broken headed. So at one moment I can't my ability to access memories is chaotic. So I may say I don't know what something is, and someone in the audience can be like, dude, you do know what that is. You talked about it before. That's just my brain's chaotic. I know different things at different times. And it's like I trust that God will guide that I remember the things I need to remember when I remember them. But that doesn't mean that when I don't remember, I can't ask. So I don't know what that is. If you can explain how that's the wave of the future, I'll read it to everyone. Chris says, start clip. What clip? Oh, is that when I went to pee? Am I that far back? Chris says you have to admire they call them psychotic features. Yeah, like that diagnosis of bipolar type 1 with psychotic features. It's a funny way to put it. I like lunatic better. Although it's not as specific. Because, yeah, there's like differences between. And bipolar covers a wide range of people. There's bipolar type 1 and 2. I believe in Europe, there's also a scale of like intensity of 1 and 10. They might even have a third category. But like there's a difference between that variety of things you get in bipolar and what you get in schizophrenia and borderline personality disorder, dissociative identity disorder. All of those things are lunacy, but all of those, the categories, like I don't allow the category to define me. But I do think it's appropriate to call myself bipolar, type 1 with psychotic features, even though I see that as being a natural shaman and a magician and all of that. It's still appropriate because that's the closest definition to the types of features my madness has. Like everything about my madness fits into bipolar type 1 with psychotic features. And so it is good to know, even if you don't like psychiatric labels because you believe it's a dangerous gift or you believe, all of that shit. It can be handy to know what your proper diagnosis is because it makes it easier to do research on the simple things that do help. Because like if you're bipolar, even if you don't want to go get meds or anything because you're anti-meds, it's like look up all the other tips for bipolar people. They won't all work for you, but some will. But you got to treat borderline personality disorder different than bipolar disorder, different than schizophrenia. And so there's specific help for each one of us fucking weirdos. And no two of us are alike, even the ones with the same diagnosis. We're not alike, but knowing the diagnosis can help you narrow down better information. And of course, it's not all going to apply to you, and you're going to discover other things that help. But it is helpful to know what your proper diagnosis is, even if you choose not to define yourself as it. So if you define yourself as neurodivergent or spiritual, a shaman, any of that stuff, a mystic, if your mystical power comes from what other people would call a mental illness, it's good to know which mental illness they think you have. Because just think of it this way. Oh, They call shamanism this. And they're not going to give you how to access the spiritual, magical side of it, but they'll give you the tools you can use to ground yourself, the tools you can use to get yourself under control, because that's the purpose of magic. The purpose of magic isn't to go for sex or money or power. The purpose of high magic is to connect to your higher self. It's to evolve. It's about spiritual growth primarily. Now, part of spiritual growth is learning to be of service to others. But that's what it's for. Now, if you choose to define it that way, but the reason and people come into magic in two directions. One is normal people. Sorry, I got hiccups. Normal people join like the Order of the Golden Dawn or something. Go wherever, to the druids or the shaman. And they go through a series of practices to learn how to access the other dimension. My system of lunatic magic is designed for the people who are the opposite end. So the idea of a magician or a shaman is, and we're going to use the center of my being as the dividing line here. On the one hand, you have the material world. You have where Richard Dawkins lives. On the other hand, you have the mystical world. And it's where a guru who is actively plugged in and somewhere else is. But it's also where someone having a psychotic breakdown is. The difference is the guru has done the self-work, the shadow work, the whatever, has achieved the enlightenment to be able to be in that state and experience it pleasantly. An untrained psychotic break is a step into the magical world with no control, defenses, and all kinds of shit can happen to you. So the goal of a magician is to have one foot in each world here. Most people start on the side of I'm in the real world. And through training and meditation and, whichever practice you're following, Christian magic, voodoo, whatever, it's all the same thing. If you're a person who lives in this world, you train to learn to get over here and get one foot into the other world. Because that's how you practice magic's one foot in both. Like that's, although, yeah, you go into the astral planes and whatnot. But anyway, that's not the kind of magic I do. I devised my own system under the training of a holy guardian angel, and this is designed for people who are over here, where you were thrown into the magical world with no training, because you were born into a society that doesn't recognize you as a shaman. And so you're lost in the other world and you can't get back here. So that's when you do all your meditations or rituals or prayers or whatever it is you do, not to access, like to get into the magical world, but you do it all to get back into the real world. And you'll find that a surprising amount of magic is practical things. And like that old saying, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood and carry water. I would advise anyone who's going to get into magic, first take a vow of honesty and live by that for 3 years at least, until you've learned to do it right. And during that time, go through Jordan Peterson's self-authoring program. That is training on how to use magic responsibly. And so for a lunatic magician, your first job is to learn how to get back into the real world. And a lot of the parts of that will be things that psychiatrists can actually help you with. How do I calm down when I'm in that state? And there might be certain things you do or don't want to use, psychiatric drugs. I take no stand on that. If psychiatric drugs are good for you, they're good for you. If they're not good for someone else, they're not good for someone else, which is why, I endorse self-authoring. Because from my understanding of it, it never tells you what's right or wrong, never tells you what drugs to use or not. It tells you to search your own soul and be honest about what's good for you or not. And then it helps you pursue your definition of the good. That's excellent training. Well, for anybody. What the fuck did all that come from? Oh, the word psychotic features. RBFC, Laboratory and Studio. You seem new to me, but I'm all fucking broken-headed tonight. Like bad. There's shit going on inside here that I've got someone reasonable on the throne. Whoever's on the throne runs the body. It's kind of like if you watch Splitter Glass. The way the Horde puts it is whoever holds the light is in charge of the body. In my internal landscape, it's whoever's sitting on the throne. So I'm not sure who the fuck's sitting on the throne right now. But anyway, so my memories are chaotic, but it seems to me like I don't remember your name. I'm sorry if you've commented before. My memory's chaotic. But especially if you are new, thank you very much for that. I definitely appreciate the channel. Thank you. Because I went through a lot of difficulty here. I went through a lot of difficulty to do this channel. I sacrificed a lot. And I honestly did it to be of service to others. And I think it's only fair that there's complete and open transparency here. Because nobody does service to others without wanting something in return. And in fact, that's not fair. That's manipulation. If you do service to others without being clear about what you want in return, you will eventually become resentful that I did service to others. They should have known that that meant I deserved, praise or support in my hard times. And so I'm going to own what I get back from this, because this isn't a one-way flow ever with any of you that I have been interacting with. I am devoting myself to service of others to meet my deepest need. I've had a near-death experience. Well, technically, objectively, I don't know what reality is, because it could have been a hallucination. My atheist subpersonality, it's there. But the majority of me is certain heaven exists. And hell exists and all sorts of shit over there. I act as if there's actually an afterlife. Like, again, except for that little atheist, that tiny piece of me. And it doesn't actually, atheist is the wrong word for it now. It was an atheist years ago, but it's seen too much. It's an agnostic now. I have an agnostic. I keep calling it an atheist because compared to how much everyone else believes, atheist seemed right. But as I kind of feel it like calling up and saying like, hey, stop calling. Oh, or maybe it was an atheist up till now. Weird things happen in these breakdowns. Subpersonalities transform. So I'm going to try to start calling my atheist an agnostic. Because he's not on the throne, but he's standing right beside the throne. Telling me that that's what he'd like me to say. He's an agnostic, not an alien. He just doesn't know. But the majority of me is certain we do not blink out like Ricky Gervais says. I have been in that place outside of time. I've been in the void where the tunnel of light is, but the tunnel of light wasn't there. I just went into that black void. And the raindrops that were frozen in the air, because as time froze for me when the bus was like 1 foot away. It's like reality faded away, and the frozen raindrops catching the streetlights like became stars, floating in the blackness that I knew was death. And I was certain I was going to die. I had this strange form of life review, and it seems like I was in there so long in that frozen moment, and that I was able to talk to death. You know, the Reaper meets you and takes you across. The Reaper met me there, but he didn't hold the tunnel. And all those panics went through my head. This is going to break my mother's heart. The answer was, it's fine. Everything's perfect. But what about my wife? This is my first wife now. I'm in the process of being divorced twice. I'm not good at being a loser. And all the ways that this would ruin her life. Just suddenly this feeling came back that no, that's perfect. It's exactly what she needs. Whatever this moment is exactly what everyone needs. Every raindrop's in just the right space. Every star is exactly where it's supposed to be. Every speck of dust is right where it should be. And this place of death is not a place to worry about everything you left undone or what's wrong with the world. This place that is death is the place where you lay down your burden, where you can drop the cross you've been carrying, where you get to see that everything's perfect. The problems people have are exactly the problems they're supposed to have. And that you're going somewhere so much better now. Years later, an angel appeared to me that has never left. Objectively, I do not know if it's a delusion or a real angel, but I act as if it's a real angel. And phenomenologically, for me, it is real and it is present. So basically, I act as if my Archangel is real. I act as if the afterlife is real. And I act as if God is real. And that is why I've devoted myself to service of others. Because it seems to me that that is how I please my Heavenly Father. Seems to me that that's how I earn the right to go up and sit beside the angels. And so this isn't one-sided altruism. Even if I work on disability for the rest of my life and use all donations, all income that this company makes to pay other employees, and because I mean, like, I have no problem paying like a good editor if we have the money come in. And first of all, maybe the first person to get paid should be whoever's in charge of finances. Because if we can get someone to control the finances well, then they'll make it easier to expand and start paying other people. But the way I look at it is other people are not on permanent disability. Because they can't be if they can be doing those jobs. Actually, no, someone could be on permanent disability and they could do editing and shit. Yeah, nut jobs could do editing if they're a computer nut job. Actually, no, fuck it. Yeah, the right kind of crazy person could fit any one of these roles, but it would have to be a high functioning crazy person where their specialty, that one thing they can do, is they can run numbers all day or they can edit. But, you know, they can't get themselves to take out the garbage, or you know what I mean? But if we can get together, it seems to me, because the goal here is to help people. I can live off of disability. So I'll work for, it's just the team will help me decide how to do this. I'm rambling about various options. But I would be very happy with an option where, like, if we can get some good money rolling in, maybe we can hire one good full-time editor to take the burden off the volunteers and still keep the volunteers, you know, doing the little bits they want. Also, it'd be great if volunteers could get bonuses every now and then. And I'd be perfectly happy to start with the financial person and the manager. If it's like whatever's best for the company, who we pay first. But who we pay first does not need to be me, because my pay, like what I really want out of this is to get to heaven. I'm tired of reincarnating, or I don't want to go through purgatory, whichever it is. So that's what I get in return. And to me, this isn't an equal bargain. To me, I'm ripping you guys off. If all you're getting from me is a little bit of help, and what I'm getting from you is the opportunity to earn the right to skip purgatory or get out of the reincarnation cycle, then I'm the one making out like a bandit. Because anyone who thinks Christ sacrificed something for us, like in an altruistic way where it's like he gave everything and got nothing, does not understand the way I understand. And I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just mean you don't understand it the way I did. Christ got the best part of that deal. All he had to do was put up with a little bit of nonsense for 33 years and a little bit of pain. Plenty of people go through 30 years of pain. And then at the end of it, because he did it right, he got to ascend to the right hand of God and be one with the Trinity for all eternity. And we're looking at that as some horrible thing we did to him. If you're honest about your motivations, and if your motivation for altruism is earthly respect, be honest with yourself about that. And if your motivation for altruism is that you know you can capitalize on it, and again, there's nothing wrong with that, because like from a practical point of view, like Peterson says, if you can capitalize on altruism, and if getting paid a good salary, and like where the goal is actually to get money, like for nice cars, I don't see that there's anything wrong with that if you're being honest about it. Just be honest about what you're getting back and what you're giving. And if it's not money you give a shit about, but it matters a lot to you that people respect and admire you, just be honest about that so that people know what they're getting. But I'm going to be honest with you guys. It's not the money I'm after. If money comes in, I will use that as a tool to get what I want. And it's not your respect and admiration that I want. I do want your love. I love everyone. I've practiced meditation. I love everyone. Of course, I want your love. But I don't need it. But it's like I don't need any kind of fame. Like I don't need the respect and all of that shit. I just need to be able to help you. Because if I can help you and I can keep my heart pure, that earns my way into heaven. And that's every decision I make. When it comes, like when I'm thinking deeply about something hard, is which one is more likely to get me into heaven? And then I don't care how hard the results are on earth. Because I still get the better end of the deal. Fucking need to piss again. I was enjoying talking to you guys. I'll be back in a moment. Enjoy your now. I thought of another immediate thing I get out of this. Like, this isn't even something I'm hoping for later. I can point out another thing I realize that I get in payment for doing this with all of you. And so, thank you so much to everyone participating. Thank you for everyone who's here right now, everyone who's volunteered, everyone who's just watched, anyone who's done anything, even if it was just liking one video or and especially, okay, like, thank you to the fucking experts who've come on. That's great. Jonathan Pajot, Dr. Greg Henriquez, Dr. Oren Amate, Guy Senstock, all coming on to do interviews with me. Thank you very much to those of you. Thank you very much to the volunteers and everything for helping me get this going. But most of all, thank you to those of you who are dealing with serious mental illnesses or very dangerous, beautiful gifts or madness or neurodiversity or whatever you call it. Thank you to the people who come to me in a suicidal state or where they're like on the verge of a complete psychotic state and you want to talk it through. Thank you for the people who will let me just give everything I can to you, because the immediate payoff is, and I really don't think I can describe this to normal human beings, but whether it's a delusion or not doesn't matter here. I experience an archangel that is always with me. So even if it's a delusion, it matters how that archangel treats me. Ask somebody with like paranoid schizophrenia where their visions are horrible to them, like how bad that is. My archangel seems real to me. That's all that matters from the phenomenological perspective. And if I were to fail in service to this delusion, I don't even want to find out what that will mean. And if I fail in service to an actual archangel, I do not want to find out what that means. However, when my delusion or my archangel asks me to do something and I do it well, he treats me so beautifully. And it is wonderful to have an archangel that loves you and tells you that you're doing well. So thank you to all of you who have allowed me to earn my delusion's approval, because you've made my delusion very happy and it treats me very well. I got to be miles behind on this. So why am I smoking a okay? Because I'm more likely to cough while I'm smoking weed. So anyone who wants to do a spontaneous toke instead of a spontaneous, I'm going to do the thing where I read quietly for a minute and just try to get caught up. So while marijuana is not good for you, do not light up. For those of you for whom it's medicine, it's good for your soul, where you wrote in your self-authoring about drugs and alcohol that that's one of your approved ones. And if it's the right time for you, let's have a simultaneous toke. I love legal medicine. Oh, right. But yeah, thanks for that feedback, because I've been fucking screaming, crying, pulling myself together. I sacrificed so much to try to do this. All right, two more. What the fuck was that noise? Tumorv says nothing immoral about money. As Terrence said, we have to figure out some way to make money out of saving the world. Yeah, and fuck it, like aim for the highest star possible, and then do your best, and then accept whatever the outcome is. It's the fucking apocalypse right now. If we can save the world, let's save the world. And I mean, it won't be us together. Just like sorting myself out is not just me, it's a Voltron. I'm just Black Lion. And it takes red lion, green lion, blue lion, and yellow lion to form a Voltron. But there's also a fractal Voltron being formed here. There's a greater plan. So John Vervaeke's Discord is its own Voltron being assembled. And Jonathan Pajot's got a Voltron, and Paul Vanderklay's got a Voltron, and Dr. Greg Henriquez has a Voltron, and Eric Weinstein has a Voltron, and all these people have Voltrons that are working on the same sort of collective project of trying to get humanity to the next step. Red Bull Wisdom's another Voltron. Teal Swan's a Voltron. She's a weird one that hasn't gotten pulled into the IDW, obviously. But it's like there's all kinds of Voltrons out there being assembled. And you can take 5 Voltrons and assemble those into a Meta Voltron. But then you could take 5 Meta Voltrons and assemble them into a Meta Voltron. And if we do that, we might be able to save the world. So why don't we work on making our little Voltron? Trust that everyone will assemble theirs. Then let's link up with them. I'm working on the connections to link our Voltron to others, which is why I'm pushing so hard right now to get our Voltron put together. Why did I start saying all that? Did someone mention Voltron? No, you mentioned saving the world. Dust to Dust says, I slept through fireworks. Only thing that got me up was nightmares. I remembered to catch up or to catch you the moment I got up. Well, I'm sorry it took nightmares to get you to the show tonight, but I'm glad you're here. God bless you, and may you be relieved of the nightmares unless they're of service to you. Apologies, folks. Tommy Unique Name says, I wonder if I can better take care of my inner child. I've become a master at dealing with my inner child because for me, what I figured out at one point is when the whole system's overstressed, all the internal conflict starts, it's like every single sub-personality is being drained, using up energy, is upset. And I found dealing with them one at a time difficult. It's like when you got to deal with like the Hulk or Kong or one of those, and you got to go, break shit that's okay to break and scream along to death metal and just do push-ups until you can't fucking move or whatever you're doing with that. And then you go to the crybaby and let him bawl and scream, and you go all this work. Sometimes I do work on those personalities, but what I've learned is that if overall the system's getting stressed out and like I'm starting to see, fuck, everyone's getting kind of upset here. I don't have time to go around and deal with everyone. What I learned is that if I take care of my inner child, I think is about 5. And some of my sub-personalities like used to hate each other. I'm negotiating all this shit and we're learning to live together. But some sub-personalities don't get along so well. But none of them, and I'm not including the Kraken here, like when Cthulhu comes through from the other dimension. I don't think that's a sub-personality. That's something else. The sub-personality, I think, is the herald of the chaos, like the herald of the gods of chaos that comes before the Kraken rises or the ancient ones break through. That appears to be a sub-personality. But that Kraken, I don't know what that is. That's chaos itself. That's psychosis itself. Like that is the psychotic world devour, like changes reality by entering a dimension, has total control to warp the nature of reality. I don't think of that as a sub-personality. That's something else. But one of the most vicious sub-personalities is the screaming suicides, like the faceless demon thing with those rows of razor sharp teeth. Sometimes it wears my mask, like a skin mask, as if it's just skinned me. But other than that, it's like it's faceless except that giant mouth of teeth. That thing is fucking vicious. But even that thing will not attack the inner child. Nothing has a problem with the inner child. Everything except, like the ancient gods of chaos love the inner child. And when I found that out, I realized by taking care of my inner child, the healing and the love and the attention of the inner child ripples out into the system because everyone has a heart connection to the inner child. And so when I can tell everybody's fucking riled up. Now, sometimes someone's so riled up, I got to deal with, the Hulk first, or I got to get the Joker back in the asylum or whatnot. But it's like, if the Joker's only halfway through his escape plan, and Hulk's angry, but he's just stomping at the moment, and, other shit's coming up, and even like the mystics are coming to me with, we got to deal with this, and the crybaby's bawling. Then it's like, okay, pull out the inner child. And by taking care of the inner child, that just ripples out into everyone. And also, they all like watching me take care of the inner child. So they all sit down and watch that the inner child's being taken care of from a distance. And sometimes some of the monsters come in, because my first favorite book was Where the Wild Things Are. But if a monster approaches the inner child, it approaches the way the inner child is delighted to get to climb on Kong. Which is the reason I collect vintage toys. Like I've got a few more modern toys here. Like I've got Dr. Manhattan I just showed. And got an awesome Ghost Rider. Like, this is the best figure. And I don't have a lot of money, so part of the fun of the hobby of toy collecting is you can also spend, especially during your depression, you can spend hours and hours shopping online for toys, watching toy reviews. There's great channels like Pixel Dan. Michael Mercy has an amazing channel, And a great thing about him is not only does he have extensive knowledge of the toy lines I like the 80s shit, an amazing collection, he does high quality videos, but he also appears to be a good moral person to me. And he occasionally does these little self-help videos, but also he believes in like the way the masters of the universe put a moral in everything. And he believes in Optimus Prime as a role model. And so he runs his channel family friendly. It's fascinating for any toy collector. He gives great reviews on quality and shit. But on top of it, he preserves the morality and that these are the heroes we aspire to be. But anyway, did I show Ghost Rider? He looks better if he's lit from behind. Oh no, that lit him up way too much. Let's see, can I make him? Does that look? Anyway. So I got a few more modern toys. Or obviously, you know, for tonight, Kong's here, and this is from the Todd McFarlane series. What I really love are the vintage toys. Like this is Feldspar I had him when I was 4, because this came out in 1982. I can remember chewing on his weapons when I was 4. From Crystar. My favorite is the vintage. I have so much Masters of the Universe. And of course, yeah, like I agree with Michael Mercy. You got to respect Optimus Prime. He was a true hero. Now, this is obviously not an original Optimus Prime. Walmart recently, like a couple years ago, released it, and you could get him dirt cheap. But the other neat thing about toy collecting is you'll see the prices are ridiculous on some stuff. But watch your local ads. And watch for Kijiji's a great site. eBay, most people try for like the best price, although occasionally you'll see someone post something where like, oh, they want to just get rid of it. And occasionally you get really lucky because, especially with rare toys, they're worth a lot, but there's not that many people hunting for them. Very, very rarely on eBay, someone will post a valuable toy, and nobody who sees the value of that toy sees it before the auction goes up. But I've noticed Kijiji in particular, people will post ridiculously expensive collectibles for next to nothing when they're cleaning out their garage or attic. And they don't care to do the research on what any of that's worth, and they just want it to be gotten rid of. Or I built up my Masters of the Universe by learning how to repair them. So it's really hard to fix the rubber when the legs snap off. People don't think that's repairable. It's hard, but it's repairable. So that's how I built that up. But it gave me something to do over the past however many years to take care of my inner child. Both the shopping for the toys, the getting them, the playing with them. And that's a part of my therapy, and it's done wonders for me. Also, my inner child just loves watching shit from like around that era. And not just like Flight of the Navigator and, shit like that. The Never Ending Story, not just Masters of the Universe and Transformers and Sectars, but also like Ghoulies. Movies that came out right when I was young and ones that I wanted to watch but was too young to, because I was fascinated with horror movies when I was little. Or some of the ones that, I can remember watching when I was still too young but a little older. My inner child just loves like 1982 to 1986. But anyway, fuck yeah. So all that was if you can, and you say later, I don't know, I haven't been conceptualizing my inner child explicitly. So even though it might take me a few days, and I'm not going to force this metamorphosis, like you turn into caterpillar soup and then you come out something better. I won't force the process. But I've become amazed lately. I've pushed myself beyond my ability, basically from the beginning of doing this channel. And I'm amazed how quickly the last breakdown went. And I remember saying, okay, when I had my last breakdown, I said at one point, either I have just processed this breakdown in an amazing way I'd never realized was possible, or I've suppressed it and I'm going to have a breakdown in a couple weeks and this all falls apart. Since I said that, I made it through the 3 months. And I don't think I fucked anything up too bad. So I was right back then. And the breakdown happening now is not because I suppressed the other one. It's because something new happened. And I think I'm actually processing this breakdown even faster than the last one. I might be mistaken. But so I could come out of slowdown mode very soon. But if it takes weeks, it takes weeks. If it takes months, it takes months. I know you people who love me will understand. I'm getting a good feeling about getting going again next week. So regardless of how long it will take for me to respond, if you want to do a private session, and again, if I haven't said so, all of my private sessions are free. We're not charging for my private sessions at all, because my private sessions are not sorting myself out responsibility. My private sessions are like Lunatic Live. That's just me. And I'm doing all of this for free right now. So obviously anyone who supports, like, appreciation, anything I can do, can donate to the channel. And I would love for people to donate to the channel. But don't think that if you can't donate to the channel, you don't write in. Because the reason I'm giving my live sessions for free is because I want to just be able to help the people who need the most help. And other people who have money will donate. So you don't have to. Don't worry about it. If you need help, just come get help. I'm not gonna be plugging the Patreon. I'm not gonna be guilting you or anything like that. But I just want to make it clear. Personal sessions are free. So if you want to work on inner child work, write in. And what I'll do is just write in, and I just won't answer until I'm okay. So feel free for people to start writing, because I think I might get going next week. And I will allow, and if it takes me weeks, and if when I finally do, there's so many I can't get through them all, I'll apologize and say that was too much. I can only do so much of it. And then when I get caught up again, I'll put out the announcement again. We'll see how it goes. And people have also given feedback that, like, if you read a comment, because sometimes I see a comment where I'm like, that's a great comment or that's a great question. So I read it, but I really don't have something to say at the moment, because again, my brain's chaotic. Sometimes I'm ready to talk for an hour about truth. Other times my brain is just like, no, we're done thinking about that right now. That's boring. We're not going to bring up all your shit. So I used to I would read it and then say, fuck, I just don't have it in me now. Ask me later or whatever. To try to make the streams more listenable to later, I'm going to stop doing that. And so if I skip your question, don't take that as it's not a good question. Maybe it's a good question I can't wrap my head around. And try asking again some other time. I won't get annoyed at people asking a question too much. I mean, don't write it 20 times in a row. Like, bring it up every now and then. If you see I skipped it, maybe if it's important, repeat it again later. And maybe something will have come to me. But then if I don't respond to that one, just wait till another live stream. Or write in, book a private session, and without having to bore the audience with how much time it takes me to work out my thoughts on that, we'll talk about it one-on-one. Okay, but this one, what's your vision of moving beyond zero-sum thinking and hurting artists? Why would I want to move beyond zero-sum thinking and hurt artists? I was not thinking about doing that at all. I have no vision of moving beyond zero thinking and hurting artists at all. Universal basic income. Okay. I'm barely fucking human. It's not my job to work out the economy side of this. Let's get good people who know about economy. I don't know. Eric Weinstein seems to know a fair amount. There's economists who can work with the philosophers and we gotta work together here like an organ, like a body. You don't ask your heart to process, to breathe. You don't ask your bladder to be the one putting the saliva in your mouth. I'm not the one to go to for how does the money work. But to me, it's just us holding us back right now. It's just us. Because money's just us. Like money we invented. Money's not a law of nature. Perhaps it's a law of our psychology at the moment, but we need to transcend that, I think. But here's my thinking, and I don't know how the transition happens. Like people like the Venus Project have some great ideas. Rebel Wisdom's got some great ideas. The IDW's working on how we can improve conversation. There's people working on how we can get our agriculture back to something that cooperates with nature. There's people working on all these projects. We got to start networking them. But in the old science fiction, when you read like the cool shit from like the 20s, 30s through the 50s, they envisioned that once we automated everything, or look at the Enterprise, where like everything's fucking free. They don't have energy problems. No one's fighting over gas. And it's like, if you need food, you just fucking press a button and you have food. But the old imagination was that once we could automate everything, we would have robots mowing our lawn while we drank lemonade and read the paper and played with our kids and went fishing. And that people did very little work and pursued intellectual topics. We didn't do that. The more we automated shit, the more we're scrambling. If we can automate all the jobs nobody wants to do, and that's a problem, that's because we're being fucking idiots. And notice that there's two things. The economy is beginning to say, like, technology's evolved to the point where we can't provide you the kind of work we used to. There's going to be less and less and less work that needs to be done. And on the other hand, we've got a meaning crisis. And we've got people longing to do hobbies that they don't have time for because they're running through the rat race. When automation's easy, handcrafted artifacts become the premium. The opportunity we have here is automate every job no one wants to do. Then let everyone do the job they want to do. So many people want to be doctors. Why do we hire only a certain amount of them and then overwork those ones? If too many people want to be doctors, then why can't doctors work 2 days a week and spend extra time with each patient and have a hobby? Why can't we slow down and hand make some tables? Why can't people learn to hobby farm? And also, why can't we just give our artists, our philosophers, our researchers, the people who are just want to advance human knowledge or produce something good for the world? We can automate everything. Why don't we just let them do that? And not even just the talented ones. Let them all do it. Anyone who wants to do art all day. More of that that's happening, better art. Everyone who wants to work at a hospital. And even if you can't be a brain surgeon, but you want to work at the hospital, we can find something for you to do. Especially if so much shit's automated that we don't need to be pressuring ourselves. And if we can work at a relaxed pace. Why can't more people raise their kids if they want at home? Like, if we can really automate so much of this shit. And the other thing is, like, certain people don't want to slow down. I'm not saying everyone's got to fucking relax. I mean, what if we designed society so society's goal was to find a way to give everyone what they need personally in a way that is good for them, their family, their communities. And so in a way where it's all symbiotic, like your body, where the heart does one thing and the brain does another and the eyes do another. And the body gives the eyes everything it needs. The brain doesn't compete with the eyes for certain nutrients, because we understand that by giving everything, every part, everything it needs, it can do the best job for all of us. It's only our mindset holding us back. We're telling the wrong story. And so I think it's a new story that changes the world. And we're at the point where everyone could be pursuing the most meaningful difficulties, not bullshit difficulties. Like, fuck, I have to do this. Like, you know what? This is the challenge of my life. Even if the challenge of your life is to get off of heroin, if that's what you're here to learn to do, I see no reason society can't provide you a place to be working on that as hard as you can. And I don't know what the economic system becomes there. That's not what you go to a dog-headed man for. You don't go to a stoned wizard in the woods and ask him to balance your books. I think Peterson's right about this too. And Sasha recently posted an article on me and him did an awesome podcast together. There's a Lunatic Live guest starring Sasha Altman DeBro. And Sashaman's got a lot of very far left friends. Like, he was in Choking Victim, which became Leftover Crack, which became Star Fucking Hipsters. And Leftover Crack, I think, were on the no-fly list for a while. They are very extremely dedicated to pulling down the corruption in the system. And Sasha said that, like, in his circles, he's the weirdo for being like straight, cis, and white. And I love Sasha, and I love that whole side. I love the whole left. I love the social justice warriors. I think they're doing some things that aren't so wise right now, but I love them. And I love the IDW, but also, you know, they're not perfect either. And that's why I'm here as a messenger. I'm trying to negotiate a peace. But Sasha, very politely, respectfully, and lovingly, posted a link to an article. This is just yesterday, and I'm all fucking caterpillar soup in the head, so I let Sasha know I was too fucked to read an article right now. But I'm going to deal with that article. And I did take a long time to write a response to him, because I respect him and I didn't want to leave that hanging, just because I was having a breakdown. So I told him that I have been forwarded articles warning about Dr. Peterson before. And first of all, just for anyone who's new to this who doesn't know, I don't give a shit. Like, I'm not interested in politics. I don't follow Peterson's politics. I believe in his maps of meaning, introduction to psychology, and I think his self-authoring shit is great. I don't follow his politics. But still, anytime I read like hit pieces on him and I checked the reference material, I found that they were misrepresenting him and taking him out of context. And so I told Sasha that. So far, that's what's happened. But I won't let that stop me from reading the new article. And the other thing is, a lot of people have thrown out criticisms of Peterson. The reason I haven't been criticizing Peterson isn't because I won't criticize him. If there's something like, because I promote him so much, if he really, and because Sasha's wording was makes him seem dangerous. Like, I'm fine with fucking mistakes he makes and such, but if Peterson says something dangerous and I hear about it, I'm willing to air that. To say, hey, I think he's wrong on this. I think he's dangerous on this. But I haven't seen that yet in anything of Peterson's material. And the other thing is the criticisms I have seen go around of Peterson, things like Jordanetics, which I did not read that whole fucking book. I'm under no responsibility to go through that much nonsense. But I watched hours of content by the author explaining his opinion. And he said enough things that are flat out wrong that I don't need to read the rest of that book. I'm glad Peterson finally spoke up one thing. And by the way, I was right. I don't know if I said this publicly or not, or if this was to someone private. But I remember once someone talking to me like, seriously, man, people are calling him out on saying he didn't sleep for a month on Joe Rogan. And so I don't know if I said this publicly or privately, but I said this more than once to a number of people. I said, like, who said, because yeah, it's fucking impossible to not sleep for a month, man. He lied there, and his thing is, don't lie. I said two things. I said, first of all, that's not impossible. I would say that I didn't sleep for the last month of my psychotic break. Now, that doesn't mean I never went and lay down and didn't actually fall asleep. But I kept sleeping less and less until, I'm talking over a 6-month period here, going from 6 hours a night to 4 to 2 to an hour every other night to a half an hour every other night. Then I got down to where, and your shit's frying. And Peterson made a great point. I didn't watch his whole thing with Michaela, but he finally spoke up, and I didn't like sit down to watch it. I had shit to do. So I put it on in the back, caught a few things, but I'm so glad he finally spoke up on that. The last month of my breakdown in 2009, like the one that ended up with me being like naked, bloody, with police pepper spraying me, dragging me into the mental hospital, like naked, bound ankles and wrists. That last month, I was not sleeping. And it's like you're frying and you're on fire and everything's smoking inside. And for like 3 hours, you're running around doing shit and it hurts and you're overtired. And then you go, I got to sleep. And it's you're fired up and then you're exhausted. And then you're fired up and then you're exhausted. But every time I got exhausted, I'd lie down and I couldn't sleep. So I'd get back up and I'd lie down and I couldn't sleep and I'd get back up. Or this is what would happen sometimes. I'd be so fucking exhausted that I would actually I would fall asleep. And then in under 5 minutes, I was awake. And I was awake with so much fucking energy, there was no way. Often, and because I was watching the clock very carefully, because I knew, often 1 minute of sleep, 2 minutes of sleep. And so I said to people that when he said he didn't sleep for a month, I'm sure there's times where he fell asleep for a minute or two, but that doesn't even feel like you're sleeping. And I don't count that as you just slept. If you slept for under 5 minutes after being awake for 48 hours straight, then that's not sleeping. And Peterson said, he didn't say that he knows that happened to him, but Peterson said, okay, I lay in bed and it didn't seem to me I ever fell asleep, but maybe there were times I fell asleep for a moment and didn't realize it. But it seemed as if I didn't sleep. But the other thing for people who say that's impossible, you can't do that. I did it. And I did it after, like, the month before that was sleeping a half hour a night, or not even every night. And the month before that, I'm talking over 6 months. So the month where I was not sleeping at all, that's after months of sleeping only a few hours a week. So I know it's possible. And Peterson made an excellent point, which, looking back on it from experience, I agree. So I'm going to back him up on this. There's a big difference between trying to stay awake for a month and not being able to sleep for a month. Of course, it's impossible to stay awake for a month if you mean to try to stay awake for a month. But if you're like, what's his name in Fight Club, or you're like I was during my second psychotic break, or apparently if you're like Peterson was due to whatever weird medical shit he's got, then yes, that's possible. And so everyone who was out there fucking, hurrah, we found his lie, fuck off. That wasn't a lie. I've been through it. I heard his explanation. I believe that. I don't know. I got on that. Did that come from universal basic income somehow? Oh, okay, great. Grizz is instructing me further. Kinesthesia? Whatever. A word I don't know how to say. Thanks for embarrassing me, Grizz. Awareness of the position and movement of the parts of the body by means of sensory organs. Proprioceptors in the muscles and joints. Something I said long ago, dust to dust. Oh, the random remembering things. Yeah, my memory's gotten weirder the longer I've been crazy. Grim says, my memory is so many holes I've constructed, and I'm not meant to remember that right now, construct, so my thoughts don't hitch on anything. I like the way the Joker put it in, again, Alan Moore's fucking contribution to DC, you dicks. He wrote The Killing Joke, and when the Joker says, like, is talking about his past, he says, sometimes I remember it one way, sometimes I remember it another. If I'm to have a past, I prefer it to be multiple choice. Oh, wow. Is it 2:30 already? I'm going to take another sleeping pill. I took sleeping pills rather than making me more quiet. They amped me up. I was exhausted before the stream. And took sleeping pills. But I did that because I wanted to have myself nice and calm so I don't misbehave. But sedatives are doing the reverse, though. Or maybe that one will get it. I'd like to also take a sublingual tablet, but then I can't talk for like 5 minutes. One foot in both reminds me of every tech conversation where somebody's envisioning some lucrative innovation and other people is trying to be realistic about what can be implemented. Interesting. And now that makes Grizz want to talk to Tommy about building a pyramid. Are we going to build a stone pyramid, Grizz? I want a stone pyramid. Like where you can go inside and hotbox it. Okay. Tommy just said computer nut job. Maybe that's my ideal occupation. You fucking write to us then. Okay. And you say you're only temporarily unemployed though. Okay. So I'll throw this out. Anyone who wants to volunteer in any way, either temporarily or long term. And right, and there's two levels. There's people who join the company, but also we're going to get the Discord more organized and we're going to get a community level more organized. Because like company people have access to passwords and shit, you know what I mean? But at the community level, we're going to get it more organized. And another thing, so some people have offered to help me with producing content and that kind of shit. To get the finances in order, to figure out the company for me, because you don't put a dancing monkey in charge of figuring out how to make money. You just let the monkey dance and you're the one that goes and collects the money. So we're going to get that figured out. But the community level, there's things the community can do to help the channel if they want. But there's also things the community can do to help build the Discord or just to build the community. And there's people in the community have told me that, like, dude, Merc, you're really busy. So if some of the people who need help just need a shoulder to cry on, just need this. And so there's a variety of people in our community now at various levels of being sorted who are willing to be there for other community levels. Right now, we kind of have a situation where it's like all the boys are on one side of the gym and all the girls are on the other. And only a few people have started dancing. But there's some people in our community who have some sort of expertise. For instance, like Pat has volunteered to be my One Love expert. Like when it comes to One Love, that sense of universal oneness, agapic love, that love for all, the inner peace, the chilling out, if the Bob Marley vibe of Three Little Birds and everything's going to be okay. If you need a break from the stress of the real world, or you're suicidally depressed, or you just want to lower your blood pressure because your doctor told you to relax and you don't know how, if we can do it, me and Pat might start hosting some One Love nights together. So that's one example. But also he has said that if there's people like, and again, the community people, who knows how much time they have. But I do know he's offered that if someone in the community is struggling, I'm busy, no one else has answered, send them a message. If you need just a little bit of a feeling of that the universe loves you because you're fucking hurt right now, Pat knows how to tap into the universe's love for you and to show you that it's there. So he's not a therapist, he's not, a counselor, but he's a loving soul that will listen and will love you. And so join our Discord if you want the help of not just me, but the community. And some people are gonna try to help me get shit organized. So there's ways this can all happen. I'm not sure. And we as a community can brainstorm on how we do this. But let's start really being there for each other. Let's really sort ourselves out as much as we can. And then let's see how many more people we can help. But so if you have some computer skills, and even if it's like you're temporarily unemployed, but down the road, every now and then you might volunteer an hour or two of service when you feel like it. If you can do the job, and you just want to edit, a video or help with editing on a video every once in a while, we'll take all the help we can get for right now. If at any point the help gets full, but we don't need anyone else, I'll announce that. But for right now, we need all the help we can get. Oh, wait. 2 more V's answered for me. Thanks, man. And again, there's like people fucking helping out. And yeah, definitely you can hit up Shane on Discord would be a great one. If I'm busy and you want to talk about volunteering, you could try to talk to Shane if he's available, or you could try to talk to Grizz if he's available. Grizz is senior member at the table here. So if you have the honor of speaking to Grizz, you're speaking to someone who always has my ear and can speak direct to me. He can chew me out if I've done something wrong. And if during these fucking breakdowns that I've been having recently, the past 3 months of me scrambling to try to get this going, Grizz has been a fucking champ. He even tapped out at one point. Was like, dude, I need to take a break. I tried to give him a break, but I was an asshole. And I called him as a friend. It was like, I know you're going through shit. I know you need a break, but I'm desperate here. And anytime I've turned to Grizz like that, he has been there for me. So Grizz is a dearly trusted member of this community. And if you have the honor to speak to Grizz, he might be able to help you figure out what the best place or, participation is for you. But it can also be as simple as at the moment we have one part on Discord that is called something like support requests or something. And the point of that is, okay, if you only want to talk to me, because I get the people who only want to talk to me, they don't want to talk to anyone else. That's cool. You go on to Discord, message me, let me know it's only me you can talk to. But if you're happy to have any help, or if you want to talk to me, message me directly. And if it's like you found out that I can't get back to you and you'll take what you can get, post on the support requests and just make it really clearly what kind of help you need. And any community members who think they can do that and want to help will respond to you there. So there can start being more people reaching out directly to each other on the Discord. Okay, Della says, I always thought the 2 guys that hung on a cross with Jesus were lucky because they got to see paradise. Wait, didn't only one of the guys who hung with Jesus? My memory's foggy here. My thought is the 2 hung beside him. One of them recognized Jesus or something, and Jesus forgave all his sins and he was going to go to heaven. Was it both of them? Tommy says, how do I know if I'm contributing to the integrity of a Voltron? Okay. You are participating right now. And also small things people can do. The more you write in chat, even if I don't respond to it, that tells YouTube to promote my live streams more. Liking, commenting, participating in any way is contributing to the integrity of this Voltron. Dust said it. You contribute just by listening, just by viewing. Everyone who watches, subscribes, shares, likes, talks to friends about it, everyone who prays for me or other community members. Yeah, all of that is contributing. I think I'm really far behind. I'm going to try to just read down to the bottom and just be quiet for a minute. I would respond to that better another time, Tommy. I don't feel I'll give you a good answer, but those are great questions. I just won't have a good answer. Okay, I'm just going to read what two more V's wrote here because I don't think I need to rant after. I think I can just read this and it'll stand on its own. As Dostoevsky said, if we gave people what they wanted, so that they had nothing to do but eat cake and busy themselves with the continuation of the species, they'd start smashing things so that something unpredictable and strange happens. We have the need for struggle built in our system, which is good because the world requires that to a degree. Our utopia is not the utopia of equal material distribution. We're not looking to be fed and asleep. About to fall asleep. Lots of light and love to you is what Pat wrote after that. And yeah, and to me in a utopia, well, a utopia would give you everything you need, like as in all your food, your house, everything for free. If your purpose was to devote yourself entirely to something. So if you want to dive into research, it's what, okay, the utopia won't take away the snake in the garden. The snake in the garden is that if we think that having cake and comfy beds will make us happy, we'll start smashing things. That's not what a utopia is. The utopia is you're provided everything you need so that you can find the difficulties that are most meaningful to you. Don't expect the cake and the comfort to satisfy you. You'll be left with a meaning crisis. And that's what you need to deal with. But it can allow you, if you're a person who wants to pursue enlightenment, to spend years in silent retreat. It can allow an artist to just keep working. And there's a big group of people that don't want to not work. And so, great, they can be like farming and we can only automate as much as people don't want to do. So for instance, if we got relieved of all our other factory burdens and suddenly so many people just wanted to run hobby farms that we didn't need anything mechanized. Well, I mean, obviously you're going to want a few things. I doubt you want to milk by hand. But if you want to have like small herds that you can take care of really well, it's like, great, we don't need to automate any more of this. People want to do it. Or if suddenly tens of thousands of people, millions of people, their heart's desire was to be a carpenter, then don't automate furniture. Let people do that. Only automate the jobs we don't find meaningful that we can automate and allow people to pursue what's meaningful. But the other thing is it won't be a utopia. You're going to have all the souls built into your problem. You come in with plenty of problems. We're still going to have the mental disabilities to deal with. We're going to have physical disabilities. We're still going to have tragedy to deal with. We're still going to lose loved ones. We're going to have heartbreak. And we're going to have other needs that need to be filled. If we can provide the material comforts of food, shelter, water, then you can pursue the other needs. For some of it, it's artistic expression. For others, it's having lots of kids and raising them carefully. Some have an inner need to write or to teach. Some people need to build. Some people need to farm. And some people actually need to do the dirty job that no one wants to do and that can't be automated. That's what satisfies them most, is to do the one thing that's most needed. And some people want to go out and teach and preach, and it's to free us up to do the things that are most meaningful to us that I see as a utopia, and it would still be full of all the right problems. Okay, Grizz says, especially talk to me if you know what to tell volunteers to do. And yeah, that's actually, and so if people are wondering what are the things you need most, although we need all kinds of things, We need people in the community who are ready to start asking others to dance. To participate in the Discord more, because the Discord part of Discord I do not really use. I very rarely read it. I very rarely comment. I go on Discord because that's where I'm doing all my one-on-oneing, and that's where I'm doing all my messaging. So you'll see me on Discord often, but that's not scrolling through Discord. That's because that's where I'm most comfortable doing all my messaging and shit like that. And I post all my announcements there for everything we do. We post an announcement in the announcement section, and I check it for the room. There's a part that like only team members can see. I check that shit there. So that's why I use Discord. But people built that Discord, and the Discord can do more than it's doing, although I know it already does great things. It could keep doing more. So we can use like that kind of shit. But anyway, two things we could really, really, really use, and like we could push forward much faster, is if we could get one or two people who are good at organizing an organization, like that understand time management, coordinating a team, and that they could just help us figure out what to do with all these individuals with certain skill sets, how to get us organized, and especially if someone was willing to help me organize me. Like, I need a manager. I need someone that is telling me when my appointments are and arranging them. That I'm happy to do the private messaging with people that needs to be private, but that when it gets to the point of, okay, when can we talk? Instead of me trying to message everyone setting all these up, if there was someone willing to, that at the point where the person wants to talk to me, I just tell them and they arrange it and make sure it doesn't conflict with podcasts or anything else, and that they know my time window. And if I could have them so that when I'm doing a podcast, I'm just doing the podcast. When it ends, I can just contact the manager and be like, hey, what's next for me? And if they're like, okay, you got this in half an hour. And so, go do your meditation and be there in half an hour. If I could have someone like that, shit would go way fucking smoother. And if anyone in the community level, not the company level, wants to volunteer to be like a community organizer, so that the people at the community level who want to brainstorm on how to help each other or how to help the channel, that you guys can work on that community level, and that we've got one organizer of that we can interface with to make everything move as smoothly as possible. So if someone wants to help out with the channel and they need something from a member of the company, they just need to go to the community organizer. The community organizer then can either go directly to the individual if it's like, we need Merc for this, or can just go to the company organizer, and the company organizer will get the community organizer what they need. I think if we had those two organizers, we could do amazing things. And then beyond that, we can use music for different things if you're an artist. And I know, Sally, by the way, if you're watching this later, that you told us we could use your art. I had wanted to. It just never happened. So we do still want to take you up on that. We never got around to making good, better art on the channel. We never got around to improving the logo. That one was just slapped together at the beginning. But also other artists, if you want to, and I think I know who I have in mind for, I want to do a new logo, and I'm getting the feedback of the whole team here. So this is kind of phase 3 of sorting myself out. And I want a new logo for that. Although none of the old stuff is disappearing. All the old stuff staying. I'm proud of the whole history of this channel. Way back to, and Porden B. Jeterson running it. And anything by Porden B. Jeterson before me and Ryan took over the channel is now titled as Legacy Video in the title. So that's how you know it was from before me and Ryan took over the channel. Everything from me and Ryan phase, like I'm leaving all that there. And then everything from here forward is like phase 3 of this. And so I'd like to get a new logo, but also it would be great to have just other artwork that we can use as backgrounds, as, you know, maybe for when I have to put shit on pause and someone's been great enough to give us some music. A few artists want to give us different, like I'm not a big fan of their style of content, but there's a channel called Revenge of the Cis that someone has pointed out to me repeatedly. And what they're pointing out to me is how well they do the channel. They weren't recommending to me that I do their style of content, but they pointed out that when they go on hold or when people are waiting for the stream to start, they've got original music and they've got this series of images that play, but it's not just nature scenes or something like that. It's things that relate to their channel. Yeah, Grizz says I'm slurring my words. That's the sleeping pills. I haven't been drinking. So sorry, I can't stop slurring my words. I took my last sleeping pill. I won't take more than that because my mind's going so fast. It hasn't slowed down my mind, but my prescription sleeping pills, when I take the full dose, does make me slur my words. So that's what's going on right now. I hope that's not too annoying. And now I have no idea what I was ranting about. Oh, that we could use art, but like where it's somehow designed around the channel. And we can give feedback on what kind of images, or although even for now, the slideshow could even just be old thumbnails. Some of the old Lunatic Live thumbnails are cool pictures that I scribbled on. But we could also do more if there were artists that wanted to do some pictures, you know, maybe some picture that, you know, has some message that we support, a Peterson quote, or fuck, better yet, if I ever say anything worth quoting and an artist wants to make a nice picture, that's something people could do. Okay, hey, am I caught up right to the bottom? I'm caught up to the bottom now, but that was because I skipped a lot of things. Do I dance? I love fucking slam dancing and stage diving and like the way people dance at hardcore punk shows and Motorhead concerts. Many people do not consider that dancing. So if you don't consider that dancing, I do not dance. I hate other kinds of dancing. I hate such a bad word. I do not hate other kinds of dancing. They do not suit me. I find it unpleasant to attempt to participate, but I love that other people enjoy it. But when I was 16, my favorite thing in life was punk concerts, like playing on stage and then also just the moshing, slam dancing, grappling, stage diving, coming out all bloody, and but like not fights breaking out in the pit. I found, at least back in the day, like a pit was a good place. When someone falls, people pick them up, and the idea is that we're having fun here, slamming into each other because life is hard and this is cathartic. So I love that shit. At a good Motorhead concert. All right, so did the comments stop because everyone went to bed? Because I'm looking up now and realizing I ranted for 3 hours. I was so tired before this started that I was worried about making it to an hour. And I thought, like, fuck, you keep yourself to a commitment of 1 hour, and you definitely can't cut short before the actual full moon. But I guess once the thunder moon came up, which is also the buck moon, by the way. So I suppose that's what's happened. Did I already mention that in the stream, Grizz? Are you still here? Yeah, it's gotten quite late. I've ranted until almost 3 a.m. So not a lot of people are here. Had I already talked about what the buck moon means? Because I don't feel like repeating myself if I did. And are we done now? Are we going to stop at 3 hours, or are we going to go to 3 hours and 33 minutes? All right, I'm going to take another piss break while you folks let me know. Because I know there's a bit of a delay, and sometimes it takes time to type a message properly. So the point of this break, enjoy your now. Stop watching. Live your best life. But I'm caught up. I'm not going to go back for the things I missed. Sorry, folks. If it was important to ask it again. But I'm going to go take another piss break. And this is your opportunity to pop a few questions up there. If anyone pops a question or a comment up. Also, I'll take feedback at this point about what you want me to do with the channel moving forward, like ideas, what you'd like to see out of it. So if anyone's got feedback on where the channel moves going forward, this is phase 3, Mercury Black and his Lunatic Patrol. What you might hope we do, what you hope we do not do, or other questions, comments. I've got well over an hour, I think, before the sun comes up. So I'll stick around if people give me shit to say. So yeah, everyone go get cereal or a snack. Whatever you want to do. I'll be back when I'm back. I tried to put a toy to stare at you while I was gone. None of them reached, so I just wanted to check. Does this work? Yeah, that works. So I can leave him there next time. Okay, is chat not working, or has everyone stopped chatting? I do remember once when I thought chat had stopped, and then suddenly there was a whole bunch more. Okay, there's 9 people watching. Now, it could be that everyone who is talking is already gone, and that our 9 viewers like to stay quiet. But can somebody post a comment? And if you haven't already clicked, and then change the like. So if you haven't liked it, like it. Or if you've already liked it, unlike it. I'm going to watch. If the thumb changes, I'll know someone. Oh, okay. I got a comment. Everyone fell asleep. All right, no problem. I just didn't know. So, Tommy, does that mean we're done for the night? Okay, first of all, very, very, very fucking few people, I think, start watching a Lunatic live and that at 3 hours they're still watching. So it doesn't matter if I slow down now. So Tommy says, yeah, probably time to wrap up. For some fucking reason, I was so tired for hours leading up to this. And now instead of being tired, I'm all fucking hyped up. Oh, so it's midnight for you because you're on the West Coast. So not so late for you. What about anyone else? Anyone have something missed from above that they want to take the time to repeat? Or did anyone just show up and has something to say? I'll hang out for, I don't know, another minute and see if anything comes up. If not, I'll sign off for the night. Two more V's says, I did enjoy this quite a lot. Thank you for doing this, Merc. And wow, you were there from the beginning, man. Thanks for sticking it right out. And you are very welcome. I've enjoyed all of our extremely long conversations. You're fucking awesome. You're fascinating. I can't wait to hear your album coming out in September. That seems to me like approval to wrap this up. So thanks everyone for enjoying, or for thanks everyone for coming to this Thunder Buck Moon. God bless all of you. Lunatic love. May Saint Michael and all the armies of heaven protect you from everything except that which is in your highest good for you to experience, so that you may learn a lesson.